has to be done before the course begins. And you have to define the level of proficiency, what is required. So now is your formative assessment, what your actual performance is and where is your desired performance. For this, we have a formative feedback. Now, what is a formative feedback? Like, it is an integral part of learning. Simultaneously, when you're teaching in the class, these features have already been there in the education, but now there are new jargons, there is new way, new method. Like when you are teaching in the class, from the faces itself, we come to know that this student has not understood your concepts. So you take a constant feedback. So when you are taking a constant feedback and asking a student to repeat what you have done in the class, or you ask him to practice the same concepts which you have done in the class, that's a kind of formation. That's a kind of an oral and a written feedback you are talking about. And you will actually come to know that whether there is a student learning or not. We have been practicing this for years, but now it comes under formative assessment. So, the core elements of the formative assessment is that you have to find out the gap. When you're taking a particular lecture in the class, you will see what kind of a learning progression is taking place. Whether a student is going from point A to point C or not. If not, you have to go back. So it's a feed forward and a feedback. So you have to see whether the particular way of delivering your lecture or discourses are aligned with the learning objectives of the students or not. If you're not able to align or if you're not able to make sense to the students, no worries. Repeat, change your pedagogies, change your methods. But the ultimate and eventual goal for you, for the students, is that there should be a learning which happens in the class and that you actual learning in the class. Now, the third type of assessment that we're talking about is a diagnostic assessment. Diagnostic assessment helps in understanding what concepts he already has. Whether, he has a particular skill of the basic maths. If you're talking about communication skills in English, definitely you can ask him to write an essay. You will come to know about his set skills and capabilities. And of course, it will clarify all your misconceptions about the student, because sometimes what he is projecting from his face, actually the things are not the same. So that means you have to undergo a diagnostic assessment to understand his present set of skills and what kind of capabilities he already has. Now, this kind of an assessment, which we call it as a diagnostic assessment, is very, very important, because it helps in building about how the student will learn in the future, how the student will climb the stairs in the future, how he is going to achieve the learning outcomes and the objectives. So if you already know that the student has a particular level, so you can build up. So how you can do that? You can interview a child, you can have a parent-teacher meeting, you can have a very close look on the particular student progress in the class, and probably a discussion with him will really help you in having a diagnostic assessment for the student. Then the new type of assessment, which is a part of the outcome-based education, is a summative assessment. This also, which we have been practicing for years together, that in the first term, the student got this many marks. In the half yearly, he's got this many marks. In the class test, in the presentations, in the midterm, in a project, in a presentation, say in an individual presentation, it could be a group presentation. So it's a combination and a aggregative assessment of all these things together. So it is a post-mortem, we can say, or it is an aftermath of what has already been done in the class. We call it as a summative assessment. So all these, these things will help you in grading the child, in understanding the real teaching learning cycle, where are we going wrong, what points to be focused, etc. So this is a very fine example, just to make fun in the class. When the cook tastes the soup, that's a formative assessment, because he would, when he's making a soup, he will taste everything, whether the salt is more or less, or probably you need more of chilies, or probably you need more of vinegar. So what kind of taste will enhance the quality of the soup, you will always put it. On the similar pretext, when we are building the students, when we are making him a worthwhile asset for the society, or probably we are doing a lot of efforts in the class. So it's like making of a soup. So that's summative assessment. So when it is being tasted by a cook, it is a formative assessment, and it is when it is being tasted by the customers, it is a summative assessment. And I've also given you that when he's making the soup, he's putting all ingredients so that plus minus is taken care of. So that's also very very important for a teacher to understand that what kind of formative steps have to be taken to increase the student learning framework. So there is some recommendation from my side that how to link assessment to improve the teaching. First of all, build on the faculty interest in the scholarship of teaching. Revise tenure and the promotion policies to reward the teacher innovation and collection of the evidence of the student learning. So here, what I want to state here is, everyone wants a kind of a recognition, whether it is a student or the faculty. The faculty will be rewarded by student awards, and the teachers should be awarded by research and innovation awards. So any faculty who is applying multiple levels of coherent portrait of the innovation and research should be awarded with, say, making a difference in the college, or probably with some live examples. The teachers should collect that I introduced this way of increasing the learning to the students, and this is the primarily the result which is in front of you. So you can, as a teacher, you can collect the evidence for that particular claims what you're putting in to the college, that this is what I have introduced in the class and I'm able to achieve my learning outcomes, and this is how we build up. So the institutional research implications are also there. Like, you should welcome the innovations. You should try and have some open communications. You should start, awarding them and make innovation your practice in the college. So the basic goal of the outcome-based education is what? That whatever we are teaching to the students in the class should be the end result is the employability. That are we able to give the employment to the students at large? If the answer is yes, that means we are going on a right track. Let me now give you an overview of the outcome-based education. See, there are issues in the higher education, teaching and learning. Why outcome-based education is practiced? What is a Washington Accord? What is an outcome-based education? How do we implement that? How do we characterize that? How do we operate that model? What is the program objectives? What are the program educational objectives? What is a PO and a CO? That is the program outcomes, the course outcomes, the learning outcomes. So these are the key words which we are going to highlight in today's lecture. Now, accountability towards students is there. How do we fulfill that? We are coming up with the revised curriculum with the input of all the stakeholders in the society, be it an employer, be it an employee, be it an alumni, be it the overall governing council of the college. Probably the student participation is also there, because he is the one who talks to the maximum people who have left the organization and become the alumni of the different colleges. That what skills are they looking for? So try and incorporate that skill, what they are looking for in the industry, in the curriculum itself, so that our course becomes more relevant to the society at large. Are we able to satisfy the industry needs? Are we able to not only produce the graduates, but the employed graduates? That's the focus of the outcome-based education. If you're just producing the graduates who are not being employed, that means we are playing with the system. So there is one suggestion from my side. Like, if you see that you are not able to give justice to the students, please start with some skill courses in the college. Please start with some employable courses in the college, which makes them employable, and that too from an institute which has a market recognition, so that our effort of incorporating those skill courses, those add-on courses will make sense to the college and will make sense to the students also, because the end result is that we are helping them, we are hand-holding them in their college journey, which starts from the first year and ends to the employment. And even after the employment, we have to start taking the inputs from them, that what do you think, whether our course was good or not. So that's your program educational objective. That is, after leaving 4 years, 5 years from now, are we able to produce the graduates which are making sense to the society, which are making, employability for them, or are we running short of the skills? So you have to maintain a constant dialogue with the alumni, with the industry people, with the various stakeholders, with the market people, that what are the particular gaps. And it is the prime responsibility, if you talk about, of the higher education institutes to bridge that gap, to plug that gap. So we need to raise the academic standards, because when you talk about, say, the different colleges like our own college, Aurobindo College, right? We are a constituent college of a university which is called as University of Delhi. So the constituent colleges, they don't have the liberty to change the curriculum, but what we are having is that we should give a constant feedback to the university, so that the academic council and the executive council takes care of our advices, our feedbacks, and last but not the least, they will be incorporated. And probably, when we are into a learning outcome course framework today, so that talks about the inbuilt flexibility in the syllabi also. So whosoever is making and drafting the courses for the LUCF, that is the Learning Outcomes Course Framework, which is a UGC initiative, we have already taken care of this, that we make the syllabus very, very flexible, so that it is making sense to the market people, it is making sense to the employees, it is making sense to the society at large. And of course, when we talk about the outcome-based education, we talk about accreditation. Accreditation in India, we have two bodies. One is NAAC and the other is MBA, National Board of Accreditation. So NAAC takes care of all other institutions, but the MBA takes care of the technology courses like engineering, etc. But from June 1st, 2022, both the frameworks are almost parallel to each other. They see the different parameters of teaching, learning, student support and progression, infrastructure, institutional support, institutional outcomes, etc., and making a higher education place a very good place for teaching and learning. We are not focusing on the intake of the students, let me tell you. We are not talking about the quantity. We are talking about the outcomes. We are talking about the quality. So we have to train our staff. We have to constantly do some training sessions for them, so that they understand the nuances of accreditation. They understand the nuances of, upgrading the quality assurance, which has to be now a habit. We have to see that the students are upskilled. We have to see that it is not about the degree. We are instrumental in increasing their competency levels. We are talking about a transparent system. We are talking about the new innovative assessment techniques, and we are trying to bridge the gap and making up-to-date system. Now the second question comes to our mind: what is a Washington Accord? See, we have already talked about the accreditation institutes like NAAC and NBA. India became a signatory of the Washington Accord, which is an international accreditation agreement. Like, they have certain 12 graduate attributes. Like, if a student completes the graduation, these are the 12 attributes which he should attain after completion of his program. So, Australia, Canada, Singapore, Ireland, Hong Kong, Japan, New York, Singapore, South Africa, and of course now India also, we are a signatory of that. So that means our education is at par with the global counterparts as far as the engineering part is concerned. But now this Washington Accord has also been changed and broadened, and it has also incorporated the Sustainable Development Goals, which we call it as SDG 4, and to make the education more inclusive. So outcome-based education talks about what do we want students to have or able to do. That is when they complete their education. What are they able to do? How can you best help the students to achieve it? That is the pedagogies, the methodology. It should be innovative. Probably you can ask them or show them a movie, ask them to develop a management theory out of it. It's up to a teacher that how she's going to open the loop and close the loop of the learning. Although we are not able as teachers, we should never close the loop also, but there has to be some parameters wherein we are going to stop their learning, and so that they can join the actual outside world for their employability. So we are all the stakeholders, students, teachers, alumni, governing council, college infrastructure, and there are so many different pillars of our institution, which we call it as Higher Education Institute. So we should all join hands together for a continuous quality improvement. We are not talking about one-time improvement. As we eat, at different intervals, we are never out of it. On the similar pretext, we always have to eat the quality. And quality is the need of today. It is no more an option. It is a mandate. And how you can do that? By incorporating that outcome-based education culture in your organization, by implementing continuous improvement, teaching pedagogies, the way you assess the students, their employability, their learning activities on a different level, on a different spectrum. So you have to develop your objectives, which we call it as, in the class we call it as, say if I'm explaining a chapter, it will have a chapter outcomes. Like if I'm able to explain the students, that means my outcomes are complete. Then I am a part of a course, like I'm teaching BCom. So BCom is a program. Say commerce is a program. In commerce, we have two programs, BCom Honors and BCom Pass. And in that, whatever papers we are, taking, they become our courses. So each paper is a course, and BCom entire is a program. In the program, we have two particular subsets of programs, BCom Honors and BCom program, and in which we have different papers of first year, second year, third years. They all become our courses. So we have to make a continuous quality improvement as far as the achieving of the program outcomes, learning outcomes, course outcomes are concerned. So we have to see what we want our students to learn after the completion of one chapter, one particular course, one particular objectives, one particular program. So this is how we, have, and I'm going to show you in a framework of the OBE also. So, let me just tell you and show you that particular, say, the framework. So this is the framework of the outcome-based education. When you are making a particular curriculum, it's a top-down approach. That is the academic council, executive council, and slowly it comes to the college. From the college, it comes to the classrooms, and all the teachers, they follow that. So it's a top-down approach. But when it comes to the implementation part of the outcome-based education, it is bottom-up. Like in the small classroom where we are, teaching 40 students, 50 students, 30 students, we have to make sure that we are able to achieve our outcomes, which are in the form of learning outcomes, in the chapters, in the class, in the program, for the college, and eventually the entire system. So how do we do that? We start our outcome-based education with the mission vision statement. Then we have a program educational objectives. We have the student outcomes. We have the course learning outcomes. And we do some planning. We do the delivery, how we are going to teach and how we are going to improve. And eventually we assess the students. What do we see? Whether the course outcomes are achieved, whether the program's outcomes are achieved, and we have to constantly and continuously do these kind of improvements. So this in one frame is the outcome-based education, which is, earlier system was input-based, but now we have outcome-based. That is, we eventually see what we are, what our students are learning at different levels. So we are going to discuss, these things at length now. So outcome-based education is a learning paradigm that focuses on the outcomes or the goals. The educators, they must have the necessary skills and knowledge. They should undertake different types of assessment, which includes the exam, assignment, project, experiential learning, which has to be mapped with the outcomes. So we have to say no to the traditional methods, and we have to constantly work so that we are able to give the desired KSA. K stands for knowledge, A stands for attitude, and S stands for the skills. So KSA is the focus of outcome-based education. And we are running from pillar to post. We are doing n number of things to achieve the KSA. That's the final demonstration of the outcome-based education. That is, we are able to give the complete knowledge, skills, and change his attitude. For this, we have Solow taxonomy, we have a Bloom's taxonomy, and we have various other innovative teaching pedagogies to achieve KSA. For K, we have cognitive domains of knowledge, in which we are able to manipulate the knowledge, mind games, etc. For the skills, we have a psychomotor domain, and for the attitude, we have affective domain. So we will have one more session on the Bloom's taxonomy, where all these knowledge domains will be explained at large, how now the question papers should be framed, how we are going to assess our students, how we are going to change the curriculum, how the KSA has to be achieved, how the learning outcomes have to be made. So as per the Bloom's taxonomy, as per the Solow taxonomy, as per the innovative teaching pedagogies, we are going to focus on KSA. So there are some suggestions here, like how do we implement the outcome-based education in your institute? So we have to first assess the curriculum needs. That's already we have discussed. We have to discuss the outcomes, that whether the student will be able to explain, he is able to understand, he is able to apply, he is able to analyze, he is able to evaluate, and eventually he is able to create. That is a journey from lots to hots. That is, we are focusing on increasing the knowledge domain, the cognitive domain, the affective domain, the psychomotor domain of the students by implementing the various teaching pedagogies in place so that we are able to achieve the outcomes. So we have to define the outcomes using the Bloom's taxonomy, that is a teaching learning method. We have to collaborate. Never think that you are self-sufficient. Should have different stakeholders, different tie-ups, different, say if you're doing a seminar, do it with different college. So what is the end result of doing it with different college? A team of your students will interact with a team of their students. The faculty members of your college will interact with the faculty members of the other college. So there is a culture. which one college has, and there's a culture which the other college has. So there is an amalgamation of the two cultures together. Look how much learning will happen. So we have to find out how we can collaborate, because the only success of the outcome-based education, which I can think about, is the defining of a good curriculum needs, assessment of these needs, defining the clear-cut outcomes, collaborations, mapping your subsets, that how we are able to achieve. Like for example, we have one, say, outcome of achieving the environmental sustainability, for example, and none of your courses has that. So what is the prime responsibility of a higher education is to introduce an add-on course on the environment so that we are able to achieve that program outcome. The program outcomes, say of a BCom, say of an engineering, of any program, of a psychology, of a history honors, of a political science honors, they are all programs. So every program will have 12 outcomes. These 12 outcomes, they are given to us by the accreditation bodies. And in order to achieve those 12 program outcomes, we define the course outcomes, we map it with the program outcomes. So which is called as COPO matrix. The course outcome is your, say, BCom program outcomes. Are we able to achieve that? So if we are able to map it, how do you map it? By taking some internal exam, by giving them some assignment, by giving them some experiential learning program, by just giving them a movie clip, just analyze this clip, by just giving them, say, a picture. What do you see in the picture? Nowadays, picture analysis is perhaps, the most important way of assessing the creativity level of a student. You have to see a constant feedback and a continuous evaluation. This helps in, altering your plans. This helps in, dealing with the students of today. So COPO mapping is done at the college level. There is an Excel sheet. It is a formula based. So probably we can have one session on this. So we start with the vision mission statements. Vision statement, I will also explain. Mission statement, we will also explain. Vision is futuristic, say maximum of 2 lines, that we want our higher educational institute to become another Harvard University, for example. That's our vision statement. And what do we do to achieve, to become like a Harvard Institute? So what you're doing today to achieve that vision is your mission statement. Then we have a program educational objectives. Say, for example, they are the broad statements which describe the career and the professional accomplishments of that program, which is preparing our graduates to achieve. So the student outcomes are these statements that describe the students are expected to know. And when they complete this academic program, say a BCom or say a psychology, 4 years and 5 years from now, is he able to do that? And how do we, rate such people that after, like, this is the example of a, Nottingham, Malaysia. What are their program educational outcomes? Which I told you that it's a 3-4 years after the completion of the course. Like for example, graduates will demonstrate the technical competency and the leadership. The graduates will demonstrate the commitment towards sustainable development. Probably they will also exhibit the problem solving skills. So these are, say, 3 to 5 or maximum 6 in number. So every higher education institute, they have to frame their vision statement, like this is there. They have to define the program educational outcomes. So vision is a basic picture, what you create in the future. So when you're making a vision statement, involve everyone. Take the input from everyone. It should be enveloping. It should be engaging. And the mission statement tells you that this is the path and this is the reason why we are existing. The mission and the vision statement must be aligned with each other, right? So these are the few examples. This particular PowerPoint presentation, which I will try and share in the group after the completion of this lecture, so that you are, enriched. This is all from the internet, just to make it make it for an academic reasons. I have tried to collect the information from the different internet sources. So, I have not drafted it myself. So now comes, so the first structure when you talk about the outcome-based education is a vision and a mission statement, followed by this program educational outcomes. That is, these are the statements like our graduates will exhibit sustainability, our graduates will have the innovative assessment, problem solving skills, etc. So probably they are 3 to 5 in number. So after designing the vision statement and the program educational outcomes, then we have the POs with us. As I told you, the program objectives are given by the accreditation bodies, like National Board of Accreditation. They give certain graduate attributes, not some, they are 12 in number. So every institution has the same program objectives, and we have the course objectives also with us. So we map it, that which particular course helps in mapping the program outcomes. So this kind of, expected to know that what we are able to perform after the completion of the graduate. That is the KSA, that is the knowledge, skill, and attitude. So you can see here those 12 program outcomes, which are common for everybody because they are given by the accreditation body, and every organization has these program outcomes, minimum of 12, but you can always expand it. So institution has the flexibility also to increase from 12 to 15 to 20, but you have to see that they are achievable. So it is not that easy to achieve the program outcomes, because when you have the accreditation bodies and the peer team visit, so the NAC people will now see, as per the new framework, which is applicable from 1st of June, that what is the PO, CO attainment. Are you able to attain these program outcomes? Like the student has the fundamental knowledge, the student has a particular communication ability, and is able to communicate effectively, whether he has a technical competence, he is able to frame models on his own, he is able to conduct research, he understands the importance of sustainability, he is able to understand the ethical responsibilities, he is able to effectively work, he's a multitasker, multi-skilled person, he has a complete cultural, global, environmental responsibility, he is working on the self-improvement with all capability and enthusiasm. So these 12 outcomes program outcomes are same for every organization, but we have different courses. So we have to map which particular course is mapping which particular program outcomes. So this PO/CO mapping is very, very important. That how do you measure it? We have certain direct methods to measure it, and we have some indirect methods also to measure it. So even the students have a particular role to play. They have to effectively follow, they should be able to follow the instructions of their teachers, cooperate with them with all trust, openness, respect, and they should also work for their continuous improvements. So these are the different assessment tools which is in front of you. You can take the help of interviews, exit interviews, employer interviews, admission, reports, survey, tests, etc. So, some oral presentations, what we have been doing, what is the change in the behavior of the student, some peer assessments, self-assessment. Self-assessment is nowadays the need of today, because the students will be asked by the teachers that you assess yourself. So that's the most difficult thing, to assess your own self. Your friends can assess for you, that's a peer assessment. Your one group will assess the another group. Probably they can have a centering of each one of these students also. So the students, you can assess them that how they are able to manipulate the information, how they are able to create something new, are they able to solve the problem. So the focus here is of a continuous quality and improvement. So when you talk about an outcome-based education, it is logical for teachers and for the students, because we talk about a continuous improvement in the quality assurance. So the yesteryear teaching we have already discussed. They are age old, and probably we have to stop talking about it. We have to stop incorporating those old system with you. So probably these continuous improvement tools will give us a long way to achieve our intended learning outcomes, which is the need of today. So the assessment task, the syllabi introduction, the curriculum upgradation, the assessment upgradation, the alignment of the different product process. The perfect alignment is very, very important. Only then you will be able to achieve the outcomes. So POCO attainment is one thing. You should be able to achieve the outcomes upon the completion of the course is a course learning outcome. If you attain after the completion of a program is a program learning outcomes. If you are able to achieve after 4 or 5 years of graduation, that's a program educational outcomes. So these things have to be embedded, taken in one frame, and everything has to be experiential, student centric. So teachers in the outcome-based education have to play a role of a facilitator than a teacher. A very epic system is there, which gives you a very clear understanding of how the ultimate learning will happen. So if you are able to construct and construe that system, then the success is all yours. Because now we are in a program-centric issues. We are into the revised teaching pedagogies. We are into a better tracking system wherein we are able to track the students in a better way and also making the quality as the system. Because when you talk about the outcome-based education, we have a very clear focus. We have a very, very high expectations. We have to develop such an infrastructure to give immense opportunities for each one of them, which is gender neutral. We have to design down our own, focus. We have to demonstrate our own way. And as a theory in the education, you talk about the outcome-based education. Some people view it as a theory. Some people view it as a system. Some people view it as a classroom system. So some people view it as that it's an essential tool of the NEP. Like for example, after completion of your agriculture course, the student is able to do a soil analysis. He's able to understand the nuances of fertilizers. He's able to use the particular good tools. He's able to plan. He's able to plan for harvesting and also handle the transportation. Similarly, after completion of MBBS, if a student knows about what are the clinical skills, what are the procedures, if we are doing the some kind of an operation or a surgery, is he able to understand the practical procedures? He's able to understand the psyche of the patient, the mental health of the patient, the disease diagnostics, the problem solving. He's able to communicate and he's able to handle the immense information because we are living in an information era. So we have to develop the student mastery rather than accumulation of the credits. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि सिर्फ क्रेडिट्स आप अर्न करें. स्टूडेंट को कितनी मास्टरी हुई है, स्टूडेंट की कितनी लर्निंग हुई है, how traditionally he has been crossing over the hurdles and making it a reality that yes, now he is on a learning framework which is very comprehensive, which is he's able to contemplate, he's able to understand, he's able to solve. So he's into a multifaceted roles. And yes, the ultimate outcomes of outcome-based education is KSA. We are able to disseminate the knowledge to a student. We are able to disseminate the skills and change his attitude. So, these are the three premises of the outcome-based education. So, as a teacher, you must prepare your students in a very positive learning environment, which is continuous, having a variety of teaching methods, giving them enough opportunities. So, making yourself as a facilitator, and of course, the students, the teachers, they have a beautiful relationship, and the teachers must help the students to bring each learning to a personal closure. Every student should feel that the teacher is for me. And if I am not able to follow anything, the teacher is going to help us. Whether you talk about the contents, are you talking about the activities, or you're talking about the outcomes. So everything, every statement should justify that it is a student-centric method, and we are using all the prerequisites. We are into a very different environment, using variety of methods, providing sufficient opportunities, and giving a personal closure to each individual. There is one more thing which I'm forgetting, that when you talk about the outcome-based education, we understand and we comprehend and we construe this thing that each individual is different, with different learning abilities, with different focus. And so that is why we don't believe in grading. We talk about the learning as outcomes, achieving the learning outcomes. So whether we are following a grading system, or we are recording them through observation, or we are using a solo taxonomy, that is a structure of observed learning outcomes, which is individual in nature. So this is an individualized assessment. अगर आप एक बच्चे को observe कर रहे हैं, we call it as a solo taxonomy. And the full form of solo taxonomy is a structure of observed learning outcomes. We are keeping a record of that individual. So, you know, all these things have to be kept in mind, that how we are going to do, how we are going to indicate, how we are going to assess, and, you know, time and again, how we have to revise everything to make it a reality. Probably we are talking about a transformative learning theory, because outcome-based education is a self-reflection of what you are doing for the students. So, you know, you should learn how to know, you should learn how to do, you should learn how to be together, and you should be a part of the lifelong learner and become a lifelong seeker. Only then you can learn. Because if you stop showing that zeal to learn, probably your performance will fall like anything. And of course, we have to you know, talk about the collaborations, we have to talk about the experiential learning, we have to talk about the problem solving skills, and last but not the least, the Bloom's taxonomy, which is a cognitive knowledge domain. We are taking a journey of low order thinking level of a student and taking him to a high level of you know, the system of creativity. Like we start with the remembering, because outcome-based education is saying no to a rote learning. That is, if you are asking just define, just recall, that means you are talking about the remembering part. That is the first level, you know, of the cognitive domain of a Bloom's taxonomy. So slowly we will make him understand, that is applying it to a real-time situation. He's able to analyze, evaluate, and eventually create. So probably the Bloom's taxonomy will play a long way to achieve the affective domain, the psychomotor domain, the cognitive domain, and achieve the basic nuances of the overall features of the outcome-based education. So that was all from my side, and I can see our principal sir. So greetings of the day. On to you, sir. Thank you very much, and I also ask Vipin sir to please encourage us with few words.
See, at the first instance, in the outset, I would like to congratulate Professor Namita for organizing such wonderful lecture. And please forgive me, I couldn't attend because of the preoccupation. The governing body, some meeting was going on, so I couldn't attend in time. But I'm sure this lecture must have been very fruitful, and this will go a long way in understanding for the students and for the teachers, and especially for the teachers, what the outcome-based learning is. And especially in context of the national education policy and it is requirement. It is the requirement of the day that whatever we teach, we must know. We as a teacher should know what are the outcome of it. And because once we have in our mind the outcome that will be coming out of that lecture, certainly we will able to give to the students what is required to them. Right? So for organizing this lecture as a teacher in charge of the Department of Commerce, and Professor Namita herself is a very good orator. So I know that the lecture must have been very, knowledgeable in a good sense. And those who attended this lecture must be benefited by it. And we will upload this lecture on the YouTube of the college official channel of the YouTube. That will help others who couldn't attend because of some reason. Person like me couldn't attend today's lecture. I'm sure the other people will able to listen to that and they will be greatly benefited. So once again, I would like to congratulate Professor Namita for this wonderful lecture. Right? And I'm sure many such lectures will come from her and the Department of Commerce. Thank you very much.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you, sir. Akriti, we can close the session.
Right.
Sure, ma'am. I would now like to invite Ms. Radha Bhola to please deliver the concluding remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. I would like to thank Dr. Rajput ma'am for sharing her valuable insights on the topic outcome-based education. I'm sure we all had multiple key takeaways from your lecture, ma'am. I would also like to thank our principal, sir, Professor Vipin Kumar Agarwal, for being our guiding light. Discussed about outcome-based education in today's lecture. 4 types of assessments were discussed: formative, placement, diagnostic, summative assessment. We also discussed in the session that students have to upskill, adopt experiential learning. They need to study in a transparent system, and for that, teachers need to keep on revising teaching pedagogies. We also have to join hands together to make this world a better place. Outcome-based education, as rightly said by ma'am, is preparing students for their life. Ma'am also rightly pointed out that quality is the need of the hour, and it is not an option, it is an absolute mandate. For that, we need to incorporate outcome-based education in our institute. The session highlighted the importance of employable graduates for the society, flexibility of UGCF framework and Washington Accord. KSA is the focus of the outcome-based education, and we also need to adopt the cognitive insights from the Bloom's taxonomy. I would like to thank our audience for your patience. At the end, I would also like to thank our organizing team for their endless efforts. Today's session was a huge success. Thanks to everyone out there. We are expecting to see you all in the upcoming sessions as well. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations to the Department of Commerce and Professor Namita. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.